All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Degenerate NFL podcast. We did miss last week. I was sick, not going to lie. Was not interested in doing this. And at least this week, I didn't have to watch my favorite team, which is the Steelers. If you don't know, I know I'm wearing a Lions hat right now, but don't let that fool you. I'm just going to be talking about them later today. I didn't have to watch my favorite team, so
Yeah.
felt much better. Let's just say it that way. And it sounds weird as they're 3-1, but I'll get to that when I talk about some other teams here. But joining me is Casey this week. His team had quite an interesting week.
Shocked
Let's
the
put it that
world.
way. Did shock the world in a lot of ways. We'll talk about them. He'll definitely be talking about them. But we're going to be breaking down 3 games each from this past week of the NFL season, and definitely in depth and more specifically what it kind of means for those teams as we get closer to like the midpoint of the season. Right now we're about a little over a quarter technically through the season. We're about 5 games in for most teams. And we're starting to learn more about a lot of the teams across the league, and especially some of the teams we're going to be talking about today. But in general, Casey, how did you feel about this past week, outside of obviously your Niners
Yeah.
having an interesting week to say the least?
I think it's going to be weird to say this, and obviously it's going to contradict it, but we're kind of seeing how the league is shaping up a little bit, I think, but we're also not. There's still a lot of big questions out there for some teams. There's still a lot of teams out there where we're like, it's still early enough where they can get their stuff together and salvage a season, but then there's some teams where it's like you're already past the point of no return, it feels like. So we are seeing some shape ups, but we're also seeing some big questions still needing to be answered. And hopefully by week 8, we'll have some more clarity. But right now, it's still a little murky, I think, in the NFL.
Yeah, I think I agree with that in general. I think my biggest takeaway, and we're going to talk about some of those teams, at least I especially am in my show or my games for the show. There's a lot of bad football teams this
Yeah.
year, and like bad, like, and it's not even that like they're incapable of winning games or anything like that, or that they are always terrible, but like how bad they're capable of being week to week is kind of shocking. We saw a lot
Yeah.
of like major blowouts this week. We've seen several of those throughout the season. And for a league that's known for kind of its parity, especially for a lot of reasons, but especially like the way the draft works and everything else, it's just shocking to see teams get just blasted the way that some of them have been
Yeah.
getting blasted. Like, even considering, injuries, like one of the games we'll be talking about is the Ravens Texans game and what that means for those teams. Obviously, the Ravens beat to shit, like no
Yeah.
shot in that game. And I'll talk about, more of the specifics with that, but to still just get beat that bad by a team that had one win coming
Yeah.
into, like, it wasn't even like the Texans were a powerhouse this year so far. Like, they just got blasted. But it's really tough for some of these
That
teams right now.
yeah, it feels like I don't know how if you feel this way, but like especially this past Sunday, I was a little busy, so I was just scoreboard watching the 1 o'clock games and a little
Hmm.
bit of the 4 o'clock games. It was like a lot of 30 to 10s and
Yeah,
28 to 13s, and it's like it's been like the past couple weeks. It's like when has that ever been the NFL? Even when you get like a super crappy team against a good team, it's still like a 7 to 10 point game. But it's like
yeah.
teams are
If
just getting blown out and just like rolling over. I don't know what's going on.
I have a theory, and I'll kind of get into it with my games, and as far as why some of these teams are facing this kind of dilemma, and I'll save it for that. But it's certainly an interesting development for kind of where the league's at right
Yeah.
now. But I will start with the game I want to play. Start with here is the Lions Bengals game.
Okay.
And it's interesting for a lot of reasons. I think the biggest one for me is it's very clear, and we saw by the move today the Bengals made, which is such a funny move. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Um, Jake Browning, despite the end of game flurry, which I think was mostly because the Lions ran out of corners, literally. Like, this keep
Yeah.
happening to this Lions team, and I'll talk about
Yeah.
them here in a minute. But until that kind of late game flurry of touchdowns by the Bengals, this offense was quite literally the worst in the league by like a considerable margin for like 2.5 games in a row. And that's even with the backup quarterback, that
Yeah.
just feels impossible with the amount of talent they have at wide receiver. And obviously, like, even the running back, Chase Brown, is a good player. But this offensive line, again, and it feels like I say this every year about this team. And again, as someone who's a Steelers fan, who covers the Steelers, who covers the AFC North because of that, every year I find myself asking, how can they not put an offensive line in front of the quarterbacks that can actually protect them or run the football effectively? because it's been that way for as long as I can remember at this point. Like there was a few years in the mid 2010s when this team was kind of humming offensively, and it was a lot to do with the really good offensive line. Since that time, it just hasn't been happening. And until that gets figured out, like, yeah, they can put Flacco in there, who they traded for from the Browns. He's a veteran with a little bit more arm talent, even at 40, than Jake Browning has. Maybe he can get the ball down the field more effectively. But he had 8 turnovers the first 4 games he played, or 3, whatever. Like, he's not playing good football in this year. Now, granted, the Browns are even worse offensively than the Bengals probably are, especially talent-wise. But it just feels like this team cannot do anything offensively without Joe Burrow out there.
Yeah. And with the Bengals, like you said, with the offensive line, it feels like a lot of the times they're making these signings on guys where it's too little, like 2 or 3 years too late, like Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool. Like, yeah, you're getting these big names, but it's like, is it 2019? Is it 2020? Like, what year are we playing in? It's 2025. Like, they're bringing them in on these bad contracts for the Bengals, which makes sense coming from them. But it's just, I think Flacco will sling it. The interceptions will still be there with this.
Yeah.
But it'll look, I think, for people that are Bengals fans, like it'll look a lot better than seeing Jake Browning go out there. And then as soon as the offensive line collapses, he just crumbles and doesn't even try to throw it to Chase or Higgins, who more likely, if you have them on a one-on-one situation, are going to make the play. So,
yeah, I think the part that really sucks for this team too is that usually with the setup they have, you could ask Jake Browning to just throw the ball to Jamar Chase because he's going to be open. You could ask him to throw 50-50 balls to T. Higgins. The problem is they only need 4 pass rushers to get home to the quarterback, so they can cover those guys. Like they don't have as much open space as they would like because they can't pass protect consistently, especially from the interiors. So it's going to be a rough ride for this team. I think Flacco might help the operation move better just because, again, he's more of a veteran than even Browning is, even though he's been there for a while. I do think he, again, has more ability to push the football down the field and not just like wide open moon balls, like actual like pushing the ball down the field. Because we saw a couple nice throws from Browning late in this game, like I said, but they were really when the game was mostly out of hand and also just, again, I hate to say this because I'm going to talk about them more specifically in a minute, but the Lions defense just keeps getting injured, and it's really frustrating for really everyone except for probably other NFC North teams because they're happy about it. But this team just can't stay healthy, like especially corner. So hopefully that gets remedied soon. But again, you take out those couple plays, and this team has scored like 10 points in 3 games. Like they can't do anything. So it's really tough for the Bengals. I do think it's pretty firmly over for them. Like I don't think Flacco is going to do enough to keep them in any sort of contention that would allow maybe Burrow to come back late, like they keep saying he might be able to. I would not mess with that. I think you sit him the rest of the year no matter what happens, basically, and try this thing again next year. How you go about that beats me, but that's probably what they have to do. And then on the Lions side of things, like this offense, and this is no offense to Ben Johnson because he's doing a good job with the Bears, and I do think they're kind of progressing there. We'll see them this week coming up, see how much better they look, with the bye week to kind of figure things out. This offense is still the Lions offense, man. Like they still do a lot of the same stuff really well. The talent here, and I think this is kind of the key thing, is the talent is still there. Like Ben Johnson didn't take players with him. He didn't sign players away from this team that were free agents. Like that's not how it happened. Like the offensive line, obviously, dealing with some injury stuff, dealing with losing Frank Ragnow. Outside of that, I mean, these are the same players for the most part. It's still Jared Goff running the show. It's still these running backs, which, I mean, how you prepare for this group against the run, I don't really know at this point. Like, it's really hard to come up with an idea of how to deal with them. And frankly, like, if they keep playing this way offensively, yes, the defense does need to get healthy and then stay healthy for the playoffs. Like, they absolutely have to. But this is the best team in the NFC if they're healthy. Like, it just is. Like, I know the Eagles barely lost. They don't look the same. I don't think this is the same, like, true, like, road grader team that it was last year. I think they're still going to be very good. I'm not saying they're dead or anything like that. But they're not clearly the best team in the NFC, and I think the Lions kind of are. And the only other team that I would even put in that conversation in the NFC right now is probably the Bucs or the Packers if they can figure stuff out. Like the Bucs have been able to make it work, but they are so beat up too.
Yeah.
Packers, I need to see what they look like post the weird tie game. We'll see what that looks like with that defense. But
yeah,
the Lions are kind of running away with it right now in a lot of ways, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, honestly, I think they are the best team in the NFC at this moment, in my opinion, just because it seems like they have figured out. They kind of weather that storm of Ben
Week
Johnson
one,
leaving and getting that offense. And I mean, I know the cliche of the best offense is a good defense, but for the Lions, the best defense is a good offense at this point. Because if you can put up 35, 40 points a game, it's hard. Like in the NFL, no matter who you have on defense, it's hard to put up 35, 40 points. So if they can just keep outscoring teams, and they can get some guys back on defense, I'm not too worried about the Lions, and I think they're moving right along.
I think they really, more than most teams, and it's such a big deal in the NFL now because there's only one team that gets it, but they really need that first round bye with the 1 seed because it'll give them more time to get healthy if they're still banged up. Like that's something that they really need again. And like if they can get there to a point where, okay, we have that extra week off, we should be able to get everybody as healthy as we can. I do think that this could be the year that they go all the way. So we'll have to see about that. But in this game, again, outside of the late touchdowns that, like, again, they ran out of secondary players kind of, and just blue coverages, they were phenomenal in this game throughout. So really, really happy for the Lions fans out there. Again, hopefully they can stay healthy. But let's go over to your first game, Casey. What game do you want to talk about here first?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be hitting on all the primetime, nighttime games, and I know
there's a theme here, guys.
Yeah,
Casey picked all the fun, good games. I picked all the sad, depressing, soul-crushing games. So there'll be a balance there a little bit. So,
and there's good reason to this, and it wasn't just because I wanted to pick all the fun games, but they were all good games. And I know earlier I said that we saw a lot of games ending like 30-10, but all three of these games ended within a 3-point deficit. So great football being played. But in regards to Thursday night, we had San Francisco taking down the Rams 26-23. Going into this game, everyone thought the Rams were going to win. I mean, I thought the Rams were going to win as a Niners fan. All week I was saying, I can't wait to see Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne led offense, and man, was it fun to watch. This was a coach's duel. Shanahan and McVay, always a fun thing to watch whenever those two get together. And it seemed like it was a chess match between them. There wasn't really like a dominating physical play almost throughout the game. It really felt like we were just watching two coaches being like, all right, I see your weak point here. Let me get there. I see your weak point here. Let me get there, which is always fun to watch. I will say for the losing team on this one, the Rams, the biggest like mystery to me is why didn't they let Stafford have that last play at the end? I get you're close to getting a first down. You have Kyron Williams. They were able to move the ball rushing. I know he had a couple mishaps or a big mishap at the end, or towards the end of regulation. But I just don't understand with Puka on an inside slant or just something where Puka was just running all over our secondary. The secondary for the Niners has always been suspect. That's always been their Achilles heel on defense. So I just didn't understand that play call and that just, I don't know, game was on the line and you're just going to run it. Didn't make sense to me. I don't know how you're feeling about the Rams at this point. I think they're going to be fine. They're 3-2. Are they what everyone's expecting? I think a lot of people going into the season were expecting them to be 5-0 or 4-1 at this point. But I still think there's some question marks on this team. But the I don't know. The Rams just need to figure something out. At 3-2, I think they're third in the division right now. So,
yeah. So the Rams' biggest problem through 5 games is that their kicking operation is a disaster.
Yes.
You've lost 2 games now because of a blocked field goal and a missed field goal, and also missed extra point in this past game. Josh McCarty might just not be a good enough kicker to be on a championship caliber football team. And I don't know if you can get better off the market, but look what the Niners did.
Yeah.
You feel pretty good about Eddie Pinheiro right now, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I hate to do this to a young kid that is, making his way through the sport, but like, you're a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. And to have two games end the way that they have, and obviously the block kick is one other thing. Like, that's an operations thing. And that's something the NFL struggled with this year mightily for whatever reason. But I think when you're a team like this, and you see how many kickers across the league, and like they're not going to find one on the street probably, but how many kickers can bang 60-yarders like it's nothing, like almost like you expect it to go through at this point more than anything else.
Yeah,
it's just really hard when you lose a game a lot, and it's a lot to do with those plays, right? Those missed kicks, and obviously you still have to go win the game in those situations, and the Rams had a good chance to do so, and that goes back to your point. Why Matthew Stafford did not have the ball in his hands on the fourth down is beyond me. I understand it is a 1-yard play. I understand how good Kyren Williams is as an inside runner despite his size. You cannot take the risk that all you have to do is lose one block in that play and it's over. And that's what happened. Like, you cannot hand the ball off in a situation when you have Matthew Stafford as your quarterback. Let him make the decision, and you live and die by that.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, if you're Sean McVay, like, again, he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. That's a miss for me. Like, I think he probably feels the same way right now. If I had to bet, I think if you asked me, like, I wish Matt had the ball in his hands. And like, yes, the running game was working well. That like Williams outside of the fumble, which, hey, shout out Alfred Collins.
Oh yeah.
Outside of that fumble, like, he was dominant in this game. Had like over 150 total yards. Like, and that's great. Don't take the ball out of his hands, man. Do not take the ball out of Matthew Stafford's hands. So I think if they run in that situation in the future, they will probably remedy that mistake. But I still personally think that if, like, overall, this is the best football team in this division. Seattle's impressed me a lot. The Niners continue to win despite everything saying they shouldn't. So they ultimately could still win this division. I just look at this Rams team and, like, when they're all hitting on all cylinders, it's really hard to play this team. So
another thing with Cardi is he does that knuckleball kick on the kickoff.
Was
in the overtime he had that kick and it went out of bounds. So it's like that.
Same thing with Butker.
Yeah. So
like,
I mean, it's but so for the Niner side of it, I mean, they came out of the game. Obviously, they had their script for the first drive, and it was perfect. I mean, Mac Jones led them down the field again. Did it again. I think it was 14-0 to start off the game. So, I mean, it was nice to see Mac Jones come in there and just not like he didn't panic because that defensive line for the Rams could. I mean, I think there was one sack.
I think it was on the field goal that they kicked.
So
that they ended up winning was the only sack they got him.
Yeah, so it was just like the offensive line held up great. I thought Mac Jones held his composure the whole game. I mean, at the end of the game, he looked like he went through.
He was getting his ass beat, despite not actually getting sacks.
So I think he got knocked down like 9 or 10 times. So I mean, he got pummeled, but it was nice to see. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey had a lot to do on the offense, receiving and rushing. And I think the biggest story out of this whole game on offense was Kendrick Bourne. 10 receptions, 142 yards on 11 targets. If only he could have got the touchdown to just put a cherry on top. But I mean, amazing to see him come out there and he was making the plays. Like, he was getting little 5-yard slants, getting the extra yards when we needed it. He was getting past the sticks when we were needing it. So it was good to see that. The defense, another bend but don't break mentality. It seemed like love having Robert Saleh back on that defense. He provides a spark plug to this team that's at this point is needed because the offense is going to be spotty for the next few weeks. Just because Mac Jones had a good game this week doesn't mean he's going to have a good one next week. And with Brock Purdy's injury up in the air, I don't think he's going to be playing next week again. So it looks like he's going to be back. Couple key plays. There was 2 fumbles on there. There was one where Blake Corum just missed the toss out to the right, and Travis Gibson got in there and knocked it out and got it before he could get to it. So that was just a key takeaway in the game because they were driving to take the lead. And then the biggest one was with a minute and 20 seconds left in regulation on the 1 yard line. And Alfred Collins just with the punch out right before he crosses the line. So, I mean, just key takeaways to keep him in the game. Bend but don't break. Now, 4-1 seems like a facade for this team because they're not even held together by duct tape at this point. They're held together by Scotch tape. So hopefully Kittle will be back next, or I don't think Kittle will be back
I
next
think week
week.
7 is what I heard.
Yeah, I think he's for the Atlanta game. But we should be getting Pearsall back. Should be getting Juwan Jennings back. So getting some more weapons back on offense should help. But if they can get everyone back here in the next few weeks, I don't see why they couldn't win this NFC West. It just feels different from last year with this team because when they had their injuries, they kind of just folded, and this year they're finding the ways to win. So the NFC West is shaping up to be one of the more interesting divisions. It's definitely going to be one of those ones where it's going to be the Week 18 game decides the division, it feels like.
It's very possible. I think the tough thing for the Niners for me is like they've managed to get the 4-1, and they have the easiest schedule in the NFL by a mile this year. So it's like, can they win this division? Absolutely, because they might just be able to do it by just skating by pretty much the whole season. My concern is, what is the actual ceiling of this football team?
Yeah.
Because if, let's say you get everyone who's able to come back, I think you're a really good team. I don't think you're one of the 3 best NFC teams, probably.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to, like, it depends what your expectations are. Like, I know a lot of Niners fans' expectations were lower because of the concerns going into the season. So maybe it doesn't matter to you guys that much if you go like 12-5, but then lose in the first round, like, because then it's kind of what you expected to happen, right?
Yeah.
But I look at this team, and first of all, Shanahan deserves his flowers for even having this team close to like it normally does. But they've gotten by on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the Seahawks game, no offense to Purdy, should have had a game-ending interception if Tariq Woolen could see. Like, no offense to him. Like, that should have been a game that they lose. This game, again, if the kicker doesn't miss his kicks, or if Sean McVay gives the quarterback a chance to win the game, they probably win that game as well.
Yeah.
Right? Alfred Collins gets the fun, which that's not like he did that was a great play. Like, I'm not going to call that one luck.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of stuff has had to happen.
That doesn't happen very often in the NFL at all. Like,
I would say the same thing about my team, who's 3-1, because they get away with bullshit all the time. It's kind of their entire strategy is we're going to hope something fucked up happens halfway through the game.
Yeah.
And for some reason for them, it works all the time. I can't say that it will for the Niners, unfortunately. Yeah. But I just wonder, like, when Brock Purdy has played this year, I hate to say this because, again, like, I think he's a better player than Mac Jones. He hasn't played as well as Mac Jones has.
Yeah.
So it's like you anticipate that he will at some point, if he's healthy, play better than Mac Jones, or at least be the better quarterback this year, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is I don't know if getting him back is going to be necessarily an upgrade at all, and especially not a huge one based on what Mac Jones has shown you. So if the quarterback play isn't going to be like massively better, where's the ceiling come from this team? Is it Brandon Ayuk coming back at some point? Because what does he look like? Is George Kittle coming back as good as he is? Is he enough to kind of elevate the offense to a level where they don't have to ask Kendrick Bourne to get them 140 yards, or Christian McCaffrey to have 57 touches in a game when he dies at week 10? Yeah. Like, that's the kind of the biggest concern for this team. And then defensively, like, I'm sorry, you guys can't rush the passer for shit.
No.
Like, and that's just scary against the teams you're going to have to go through if you want to make it in the playoffs, realistically. Because Bryce Huff is having a bounce-back year. It was a good move to bring him in. You're getting nothing from anyone else's from a pass rush.
Especially, and with Bosa going out,
and that's again, it wouldn't be a problem if Bosa was there because he gives you the rest of the pass rush. If it's just Bryce Huff out there doing his best, I don't know if that's enough to get you through a playoff game against like the Lions or even the Bucks or whatever. Like, it's just hard for me to imagine. So it just comes down to, like, what are your expectations actually? Like, and we'll see. Again, maybe everything comes together at the end of the year. And we're like, all right, this is good. This is good enough to maybe make it all the way. It feels unlikely, right?
Yeah,
like, that's.
I think if this team is 6-4, 7-3, they're going to go after a bigger name for a pass rush because that is definitely
Well, one already got moved today. We'll talk about that with my next game. So I want to move on to my next game, which is going to be the Ravens-Texans, which, oh boy, Ravens fans. This is the season from hell for them. Full disclosure, if you watch our betting show that we do on Wednesday nights before the season, I think Dalton and I both I don't know. I'm going to put words in Dalton's mouth, but I think both of us picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl this year. Because I looked at this team and I'm like, man, on paper, this looks like a juggernaut football team. Like defense had more talent added to it. If everything worked out, granted, a lot of things needed to work out, right? But all the pieces were there for this to be one of the best teams in football, if not the best team in football.
Yeah.
And then the Bills game happens, and the offense looks as advertised. The defense absolutely does not. And you're like, okay, it's Josh Allen, the Bills, you know.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry fumbled. Like, a lot of stuff happened, right? They massacre the Browns because it's the Browns, and then the next two games just completely take the wind out of their sails. Like, just devastating losses. And then Lamar Jackson goes down. Half the defense goes down. Half the defense that already was playing terribly goes down.
Yeah.
And then you have to go play the Texans, who are struggling. They need a win badly. They need to get things moving. And boy, did they. A 44-10. Again,
it made it harder for them by letting them, because it just gave the Texans even more confidence.
Again, CJ Stroud, who hasn't really performed well this year for a lot of reasons, not many of which I think are purely his own, but still hasn't performed well. 23, 27, 244, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Only takes 2 sacks, which at this point feels like a dream considering how bad his offensive line has been. He has a 30-yard run. They run the ball relatively well overall. Like, they did. The Ravens defense had no answers for anything. And again, they're missing a lot of key guys. Roquan Smith, just Meadowake is out for the year. Like, again, but then you also sit here. You had 39 plays on offense in a 60-minute football game.
Yeah,
you couldn't possess the ball. Cooper Rush numbers. You don't look at the interception column. You're like, all right, that's could be a lot worse. 180 yards almost and 20 attempts. So, that's pretty good. 3 interceptions. Not good.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, 15 for 33.
Yeah.
Again, the Texans' run defense, really good. Always really good with them.
But I don't even think it's the past few weeks they haven't been using him, really.
No, and they haven't been able to really use him.
Yeah, because he's fumbling.
He's fumbling, or they need to throw the football because they're completely out of games halfway through the game. My point and why I want to talk about this game is, again, the Texans looked a lot more like the version of the Texans we were hoping to get last year. Now, do I expect that against teams that actually have their players and are good? No, not necessarily yet, but I think it was a good step for them. For the Ravens, and we saw this, they traded Adolfo away today for Alohi Gilman and a 5th and 6th round pick swap, I think it was, or something like that. To the Chargers, who desperately need a pass rusher, and the Ravens clearly don't think it matters at this point. Because I think, even though I wouldn't say it's them punting on the season per se, because again, he was going to be a free agent. It seemed like they weren't interested in bringing him back anyway. It could just be them trying to get a player that can help them a little bit now with the Gilman in the back end, and also just picking up the pick swap, right?
Yeah.
But this does kind of tell me they don't expect to dig out of this hole. Right, at 1-4, and it's really hard to do that. The Bengals almost sort of did it something like this last year, but it didn't quite work out, and they're not they do not have the talent right now to do that. At least the Bengals offense was humming. Even if Lamar comes back, I don't expect him to play this week against the Rams. If the Rams don't just punish this team to the ground, one, that's an indictment of the Rams, and two, the Ravens really would need to put everything together just to make it a game. If they go 1-5 to start the season, it's over. It is over. And it does make me laugh a little bit that the Ravens are still the favorites to win the AFC.
I was just about to say they're still betting favorites to win the division. They're still betting favorites.
Again, we're 5 games into this for the Ravens and only 4 of us. So it's hard to make a conclusion yet. But I think I can comfortably say if the Ravens lose next week, which even with Lamar, I think they probably do, because again, they just don't have Puka Nacua might as well be God in that game. Compared there's no shot that they can cover him, in my opinion. So it's a whole thing. But if they start 1-5, it's beyond over for this team. And I think John Harbaugh should lose his job. I do. And it's not because, again, you could say, well, it's not his fault his players got hurt. You're right. He's not gotten over the hump with a team that has the talent to do so for several years now. And you can't sit there and be like, oh, well, Lamar's not playing well enough. It's like it's not that simple with this team. It simply isn't that with this football team. They might need to go in a different direction. And honestly, they probably should have just promoted Mike McDonald and been done with it. Like, I think that could be a decision they regret down the line. So,
yeah, with the Ravens, I mean, I know a lot of. I mean, the hardcore fans know that Harbaugh needs to go. I mean,
they've been saying it for a while. I see it a lot from Ravens.
If this season continues the way it is, you're going to get the same result as you did last year as far as no championship. I get you playoffs last year. I get it, but it's like you're not getting anything out of this year. You didn't get anything out of last year. Like, what's going on? You've seen the complete opposite ends of the spectrum with this, and and I don't think them going into the Rams. I don't think McVay is going to let another injured team come in and take advantage of them. So this is if they lose, it is scary. And this is, like I said at the beginning of the show, one of those like big question marks of the season. If can they get it together? Not looking like it, but if they could somehow, they're going to be fine. But it's looking bad.
Well, if you think about it, right, because I just wanted to pull this up because, again, I don't think Lamar's playing next week, and if he does, he's probably not 100%. Again, I just have a hard time thinking that this Ravens team can beat the Rams right now. I just really have. There's no evidence for me to suggest that they can do that. Their schedule, I'm going to pull it up right now because I wanted to check this. So they play the Rams. They have their bye week, luckily. So if Lamar doesn't play this week coming up, he should absolutely be back for the next game after the bye. They play the Bears. Definitely can win that game if everyone's back and healthy. Like, that's a winnable game, obviously. They probably beat the Dolphins no matter what, in my opinion. Yeah. They have the Browns. They can definitely win that game. They already beat them once. The Jets, they have a schedule that tells you they can win a lot of these games. But if they start 1-5, that means just to have a chance to probably make the playoffs, not even just win the division, but make the playoffs, you need to go 9-2 down the stretch.
Yeah, something like that.
To get to 10-7, and then maybe 8-3, maybe 9-8 sneaks you in. I don't know with the AFC this year. You're probably not winning 8 or 9 games in that stretch with the way this team is played, even if everyone gets back. You just probably aren't. Like, you have to play the Packers near the end of the season. The Patriots all of a sudden look like a team that certainly can beat them. I should have beaten the Steelers if they didn't fumble 5 times. But, like, it's just hard for me to think that they're going to win enough of these games, even if they're winnable games, to actually make this happen.
Yeah. So. The AFC North is on that collision course where I forget what year it was, but the NFC East where like the winner got in, but they were they had like 7 or 8 wins.
Well, the NFC West was the first team to do that back in like 2010 or something like that. And the Seahawks won like 7 games in one division. Like, so it's certainly. I mean,
it's heading that way.
Steelers are 3-1, but I don't know, man.
I do want to say about the Texans, like,
yes, I want to talk about that.
I do want to give them their flowers, actually, because as much as the Ravens sucked, like, as far as that roster that they had to play and just how the vibes are in Baltimore right now, they didn't just go in and sneak by a win. They went in and dominated.
Yes, they actually made
team, them. A team that's put together and ready to play should have dominated that game, and they did. So it was good to see that if you're a Texans fan. I think it's a sign of something to come, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a step in the right direction for them. I think this is a good confidence builder for Stroud. That defense is still pretty, like, gnarly, in my opinion. I think it's still a pretty good defense, so that really helps out. But, I just want to give them their flowers. I think this is going to be a turning point for them.
Yeah, this could be a turning point for a team that just, again, I think they've really kicked this whole rebuild off really, really strong, and then just have made a lot of poor decisions since then. Yeah. And it sucks because, again, CJ Stroud has not performed the way that they were hoping he would. And a lot of that is to do with the way that they built the offense. And they basically like, well, we know Larry Tunsil's great, but we don't like that he has penalties or whatever the reason was. And I'm like, okay, so be worse then, I guess. I don't know what you want me to do with that information, frankly. Like, I know Dalton's a big Arion Territory guy. I don't think he's performed great so far, but he's also a rookie. So what are you supposed to do with that? Like, it's not really even his fault, to be honest with you. But again, like, the Texans, I think, have a chance to get back into this thing in the AFC. But then again, you look at the way the Colts Jaguars are playing. It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dalton certainly hit it on the head with the Colts, if you guys have seen anything he said about the Colts. But unfortunately, came back to bite him this week. Raiders, man, look away, folks. Don't look at it.
Yeah, I was wrong about them.
Yeah, me freaking too. Geno Smith, R.I.P., man. What did they do to my boy?
I thought he was going to make a turn after that Chargers game, but
me too. And then he certainly didn't do that. They got to figure something out there, but we're not going to talk about the Raiders right now. I don't think anyone, including Raiders fans, wants us to talk about the Raiders right now. On to our next game, though, Casey. What do you have for us for that one?
Yep. So we're moving on to the Sunday night game. Another 3-point game. It was the New England Patriots 23 and the Buffalo Bills 20.
Back to the fun, guys, instead of terrible.
Yeah. So we had a great showdown here in the AFC East. Is it Drake May era in New England? Did he arrive? I mean, Chris Collinsworth was, towards the end of that second half. I know we've saw a few people in our chat saying they like him, but like he was oohing and ahhing over Drake May at the end of that game. So
you would have thought it was Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, you would have thought. He did at one point say he's got a little Josh Allen in him, and I was like, "All right, let's chill out here, Chris."
if I had to pick someone to compare it to, that's kind of the closest we're gonna get.
Especially with that play towards the end where he was going down and freaking somehow got the throw off.
One of the funniest plays I've seen in a while.
But yeah, this is another AFC East showdown where it was Buffalo Bills trying to stay undefeated. And the Patriots, to their credit, went into Buffalo and got the job done. Now, it was a stinker the first half. I think that ended like 6-3, something like that at halftime.
Yeah,
so
not a lot going on.
At first, it was like, oh, man, this is going to be another crappy game for prime time. But the scoring picked up in the second half. Stephon Diggs, outrageous. 10 catches, 146 yards on 12 targets, no touchdowns. Him and Kendrick Bourne, man, just had a very similar stat line. And I don't know if that was just because he was back in Buffalo and he wanted to show out a little bit or what it was, but him and Drake May seemed to have something. Hunter Henry, another great to have a tight end that can be there for some great plays. Ramondre Stevenson had 2 touchdowns. It kind of stuck because they got Travion Henderson was getting them down there. They were like, hey, Ramondre. I get Ramondre's your bigger back and you want him in there, but it was like, go ahead, take these touchdowns. I was like, oh, come on. But
another fumble by him, by the way.
Yeah, another fumble.
Tough.
Yeah, and they did lose one of their running backs, Antonio Gibson.
They did, unfortunately.
Yeah. They have 4 guys with over 100 rushing yards on the season on the team. So
yeah, they can't decide what they want to do.
Yeah, and Drake May's one of them.
He is one of them. That's where the Josh Allen part of it kind of comes into play a little bit. But no, I think watching this game live, at least, right? It's pretty apparent that, and I've known this about Drake May really since the end of last year, that he has the goods. Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really about like, oh, is he going to be like good? It's how good can he get? Because when you have the type of skill set this guy has as a passer, especially, you're probably going to be a very good player. It's just how high can he climb at this point?
Yeah.
Right. Because again, now the conversation, of course, is going to be like, well, who's the best quarterback in this class? Is it still Jaden Daniels? Is it going to be Drake May? I don't really care, and I think that conversation isn't very fun. I want to see how good can these guys get. And also, I know it's been up and down, but like Caleb's coming along a little bit for the Bears.
He is.
So we'll see what Bo Nix, I don't know. I still don't know about Bo Nix necessarily. Michael Penix, I don't know.
Yeah.
This class could be very, very good, right?
Yeah.
This could be more like what we thought the 2021 class was going to be, instead of what it ended up being for the most part. But Drake May certainly has the guts. Like, this game kind of showed that. Going into Buffalo and winning a game, almost under any circumstance, it's really hard for me not to come away with like, okay, yeah, you kind of got the it factor there.
Yeah, and it's nice, like you were saying, all these quarterbacks from that class. Like, as a football fan, it is nice to know that you do have some guys out there that are going to carry the torch, per se. And it's like Drake May, Jaden Daniels, we can kind of pencil in that they're going to be pretty good. Like you said, Caleb Williams, if they can figure it out as a team, I think he'll come along with them, but he's still playing well. Penix, we'll see. But, like, it's nice that we have some guys that we can count on for the next 10 years, hopefully, to have some good football. But let's talk about the Bills a little bit. You're 4-1. I mean, I know that first loss always hurts, and congrats to the Dolphins, of course, obviously. But it's tough taking your first loss, but you're 4-1. So it's champagne problems at this point. What you can't do is let this loss turn into 2 or 3 losses over the next 4 weeks. So Josh Allen just needs to keep humming along. 53 rushing yards, still rushing, 253 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. So, I mean, it's not like he played terrible. It's just New England defense made the plays when they needed to and clamped down.
I think my concern for the Bills is not so much whether or not they should be worried about this team through 5 games losing to the Patriots, because I think the Patriots are legitimately good. Like, I think they are like a weird Week 1 Raiders game and a stupid-ass Steelers game, which every team plays a stupid Steelers game, even if they don't play the Steelers. They somehow do a Steelers game every year. Like, they just happen to have theirs against the Steelers, which makes sense. The Patriots could easily be 5-0 right now. Like, it would not be that. Like, you could see a world very easily where that happens, or at least 4-1. But my problem for the Bills is kind of this problem I've had for a while now, which is I believe in Josh Allen. I believe, especially now with Joe Brady there, the offensive play calling. I believe in the offensive line. But in games where Josh Allen isn't a superhuman and the rushing attack is not getting 6 yards a clip because the offensive line is beating the shit out of the other team, this defense is both not talented enough and, in my opinion, not coached well enough by the head coach of this football team for me to believe that they can win those big games against high-powered offenses in the playoffs unless Josh goes nuclear. And we've even seen when he does go nuclear, they still lose. And I think it's really hard for me to say, and before I say anything more past this, I would say the same thing about my team when I'm about to say about the Bills, right? So this is not a situation where I'm like, oh, this coach and this coach. Same thing with John Harbaugh, my comments earlier. I feel the same way about my team's head coach at this point, is that I think they're really good head coaches. When you're talking about John Harbaugh, you're talking about Mike Tomlin, you're talking about Sean McDermott. I don't think they're the right coach for the teams they coach for currently. I don't think Sean McDermott is going to win this team a Super Bowl. I really don't think they can win a Super Bowl with him as the head coach. And I don't know how hot of a take that is at this point. I don't know where Bills fans are about that. But I think this team would be much better off, assuming they think he's ready and he thinks he's ready, for maybe someone like Joe Brady to step into the head coaching role, retain the offensive coordinator role, and go find himself a superstar defensive coordinator out there where you can find them seemingly every year. Ask them to come in and coordinate this defense, get it back to the level it needs to be, so that way Josh doesn't have to go win every game for you, or at least it feels like they have to do that against the top teams. And the Patriots, again, not ready to call them even anything close to a top team yet, and they still were able to do it in this game.
Yeah.
Because, again, Josh did make a couple of mistakes. He had the bad pick. The running game wasn't very good. But sometimes it's going to happen in the NFL. Yeah. And for them to still lose this game when they're clearly the better football team overall at home, that just feels like a coaching thing more than anything else.
Yeah, and you could tell with that defense later in the game it got that Drake was able to pick them apart more. He was finding the holes in the defense easily. He was manipulating them. I mean, that last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter was just, it was getting the ball where the receivers need to be. I mean, it was a master class. And then that defense lost Matt Milano as well. I think he's going to be week to week. I didn't check up, see if he's back next week or
but
not.
Again, they're not talented enough to get by on talent. And I don't think they're coached well enough to make up for it. And when you have that, those two things intersect with each other, it just makes it really hard to play consistent defense in the NFL. And again, they could easily be right now 3-2 instead of 4-1, which would still be good. But they very well should have lost to the Ravens in week 1 because they could not do anything. Again, that's the Ravens, but you're also the Bills. Like, you can't make the excuse of like, well, we played the Ravens, they're going to score 40 points. No, you can't. Like, that can't be your feeling about it, right? Like, you can't do it. So it's really tough for them. I have no worries about them as a regular season team. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose only 1 or 2 more games all year, honestly. But when we get into the playoffs, can you tell me for sure that this defense is going to be good enough against the other top AFC teams? I don't think so at this point.
Yeah, and this is no hate toward Bills fans because, like, I mean, it's whatever if the Bills were to make it to the Super Bowl and win it all. But, like, I feel like we're just heading on another course where they're going to have to play the freaking, like, whoever the Chiefs are this year in the freaking AFC Championship game, and then it's going to end in a heartbreaker, and we're going to see Josh Allen out on the field, like, looking all like he just doesn't know what's going on. And it's like, I mean, the writing was on the wall at this point. So,
like, how many 300-yard, like 3+ touchdown Josh Allen playoff losses can you have before the head coach is the problem? You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing too. Because it'd be one thing if Josh melted down in the playoffs every time, or if something else was amiss. Every time this team loses in the playoffs, I feel like I can confidently say the biggest issue with it was the fact that the defense wasn't good enough, partly because of the coaching, right?
Yeah.
And frankly, if you have a defensive head coach, that can't be the solution then. Like, you have to find a different solution to the problem. And I'm curious if the same thing happens again this year, if we might finally see that in Buffalo.
Yeah, and it's hard in the NFL when you find a guy that can give you this type of regular season success and
it is
make the deep runs into the postseason, because that invigorates your fan base. It makes people buy merch. It makes people buy tickets. It gets people in the door. But
gives you a chance every year.
That pain at the end of the year, those fans feel that shit hurts. So, like, do you want to keep doing that, or do you want to, like, live in this, oh, we're having fun, but then once it hits January, it's like, what the hell is about to happen?
Yeah, like, before we get to my next game here, my last game, if you, like, I'll just ask you this. Like, if you were a Bills fan, right? First of all, if you're a Bills fan, hope you have health insurance, because y'all be doing a lot of shit.
Wow.
If you were to be told, okay, you have 2 options going off for this, let's assume the season ends in a similar fashion to how it has ended for like 4 years in a row now, where you either lose in the championship game, you lose the divisional round, whatever, to whatever team. It looks very similar. If you were told, hey, you could keep Sean McDermott, but let's just say, I don't know, he hires like a new defensive coordinator or brings someone in to handle the defense more, and he just kind of goes hands off and is just more like the true like CEO type head coach, right? And in that situation, Joe Brady leaves for a head coaching job, most likely, right? Or you could fire Sean McDermott and promote Joe Brady and have him figure out a defensive mind to bring in. What are you doing in that situation?
Yeah, because you have to, in my opinion, you have to make the change, because you're not winning the championship now. So what are you missing if you don't win it the next year with Brady and he's figuring it out?
And that's kind of my point, is like, I don't know if that scenario is going to happen, because we've seen guys like Ben Johnson stick around longer than he had to. Like, maybe Joe Brady doesn't get an offer he likes this offseason, or he just doesn't want to do it yet. But if you told me, like, okay, Joe Brady is definitely leaving if you don't make him head coach, I don't know how you can't take that swing, knowing that you have done everything you can to make this team a championship team, and it hasn't happened. Like, what more can you do at this point, other than hope that you get luckier, hope that you can add some defensive talent that's ready to go right away?
Yeah.
Other than make a change of head coach, realistically. Like, that's kind of what I think you have left to do at this point. So we'll see. Again, sounds bad. I'm not digging on the Bills at all. They're a fantastic football team. I just worry that this is a microcosm of their issues still existing, basically, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see again. They'll probably steamroll the next like however many games, and then everyone will forget about it until the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But my last game, and boy, I'm kind of doing this one not just to keep my theme of tragedy, essentially, but also because Zach, our resident Dolphins fan, is not able to yell about his team to us personally because he's out this week. But the Dolphins-Panthers game, man. I think first of all, shout out the announcer guy. That dude rocks. I don't care what anyone says. Some people didn't like him.
Yeah.
He made every play feel like the Super Bowl winning play. And I'm like, that's sick. Like
With this game, he did it.
He really like, and it's so, and in fact, it's the Dolphins Panthers game. It makes it that much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was really fun. But like, let's talk about it. The Dolphins jump out to a 17-0 lead because Bryce Young has two of the funniest, stupidest turnovers he's had in a while. And as someone who was a very big fan of Bryce Young's back half of last year, this year has definitely been upsetting in a lot of ways. Although I still think he's playing better football than he did his rookie year or the first couple games of last year. It's been a struggle for him and the offense as a whole. But after those two plays, it's kind of all Panthers at that point for the most part moving forward. And I think I want to start with the Panthers here because they're the more fun thing to talk about with this game. I think that Bryce Young is a good player who has limitations that the offense hasn't been able to work past as much as they were at the end of last year. And I think a combination of it is the offensive line isn't as good this year due to injuries and other things. The playmakers have been very inconsistent, really outside of the rookie, which is not great, even if Ted McMillan has been very good for them.
Yeah.
And I think the running game until this game, which we'll talk about that in a minute, has been lackluster as well. So it's like everything's kind of not working offensively. The defense, it's one very young and very inexperienced and not that talented yet, but I think they've tried their best. It just hasn't been good enough a lot of the time. Obviously, you have the Falcons game, which is one of the funniest games of the year already.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get a much funnier game than the Panthers beating somebody 30-0. But overall, a really great comeback win for the Panthers. They showed a lot of grit. I do wonder if Dave Canales is ultimately the coach that can get this team back up and running. I do have my questions about that. But overall, I think they did a really good job to come back in this game. The Dolphins, though. Miami Dolphins. In a week where the 72 Dolphins got to pop the champagne because there's no more lossless teams in the NFL through only 5 weeks, which that feels interesting. I don't think this is the worst football team in the NFL. I think they're the saddest football team in the NFL because they are truly, in every way possible, going out sad.
Yeah.
For a team that really jumped onto the scene with McDaniel in this offense and Tua throwing the ball over the place and Tyreek Hill and all the speed and scoring and blah, blah, blah. For them to just kind of go out this sad is really kind of disappointing. And it's the saddest part for me, and I think it is from what I've heard from Dolphins fans too, is it is just so on brand for this organization to have this happen because like they do with everything, it feels like everything stagnates eventually and they never see it coming until it's already happening. And it's just like, because again, like you have this quarterback, and to be fair, I'll put my hands up. I've been kind of a Tua hater for a while, right? And unfortunately, everything is coming up my end of things right now, and it's not all his fault. But he, again, and I've said this many times in the past, he might be one of the 3 most limited quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's getting paid $50 million a year to operate an offense that really only he can operate, to be fair. But it's also because it's the only offense I think he can operate at a high level when it works.
Yeah.
And they box themselves into such this specific little niche thing that when it stopped working, the whole thing fell apart and they had nowhere to go, right? There's nowhere to change things up enough to like actually see meaningful change of what they wanted to do. And we're seeing it like even in a game like he really didn't play that bad at all. They couldn't run the football. And the defense is just so bad and soft and disappointing. And like Rico Dowdle, gotta shout out Rico Dowdle. He's a good player.
Yeah.
He had 1,000 yards to the Cowboys last year. You can't let Rico Dowdle run for 200 fucking yards on your team when they were trailing most of the game. You cannot allow that. It's insane to me that this team was able to allow a 200-yard rusher in a game where they were up 17-0 at one point. It just feels impossible, but it's because they can't. This defensive line has got to be the worst in the sport simply because of this game. Like, they can't do anything, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, and I know with Chuba being out, it was, I mean, he was going to get the ball. You knew he's like,
yeah.
It kind of just like sums up the Dolphins, though. It's because like whenever you think there's something that you cannot just let happen and like it can't happen, they're like, no, we're going to let it happen. They're like,
Every
the one
time.
way we
Every
can,
time.
it's like the one way it's like, there's no way you guys will get beat this way. And they did. So it's just like winning the games or losing the games that you have to win on an already bleak season just makes it even worse for the Dolphins. I don't even know at this point what to do for the Dolphins. Like, just I know there's the cliche of clean house, but like you legit like top to bottom, just everyone has to go. I at this point I don't know what you do. You need a new quarterback, you need offensive line, you need. I mean, I keep Watt on A-Chain. That like just start. I don't know what you do. I feel bad for Miami fans because it's just like, at least with the Panthers, it's kind of like, oh, there's some optimism. With the Dolphins, there's nothing. Like, you can't be excited for next week.
Yeah, like again, if you're the Dolphins, like Tua, again, I'm going to say this again. He's been bad this year for the most part. Tua played a really good game in this game. He gave them a chance to win with that touchdown to Waddle. It was really nice. Or maybe the best start I've seen from Tua in a long time. And it just doesn't matter because the team is so bad. Like, even the week the offense works for the most part, especially the passing offense, where it did this week. Like, he made a bunch of big-time throws, by his standards especially. And it just wasn't enough because, again, you can't win games against a team that can allow 27 points to the Panthers. You can't do that. I'm sorry. And the fact that this defense even was good for some of the game. Again, they had the pick from Minka, which, again, it was just bad by Bryce Young. It was a bad throw. I don't know, man. If you're Miami, like, you really got to – I think the best thing that could happen is you just roll over and die this year and get, like, a top 5 pick. And I know, like, they're not going to do that because Mike McDaniel wants to save his job. He can't, by the way, though, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't even know how he still has his job at this point. But
all I'm saying is if this GM and head coach combo makes it into next year, I think the Dolphins deserve to lose every game that they play from that point forward. Like, and it's not even that – like, McDaniel's not – by far, like, he's definitely not the worst coach in the NFL, but he's not the coach for this team. I'll tell you that much. He probably isn't a head coach. Period. He probably better as.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think he's a head coach.
Like, let's play the game of like who's quarterback or like whose offense is he gonna coordinate in 2026? That's really the better question, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, it's depressing. I'm not a Dolphins fan, but I know a lot of Dolphins fans, and I can't imagine being a Dolphins fan right now. Like, I have my own problems with the Steelers, and I'll refrain from talking about them for at least this week, with them being on the bye. But like, it just feels like they're constantly just getting shit shoved in their face by the organization. It's terrible.
It's always whenever you speak to a Dolphins fan, the conversation always begins with, "Well, in 19 whatever or in early 2000." It's never a last week or it's
like, well, that Broncos game in 2023.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man.
And I hate to pile on. It's just it's hard to watch, even from the outside. Like, it
is hard to watch because I'm like, I was barely paying attention to that game. Then I'm like, wait a second, it's the Panthers are winning the game. Wait a minute, what the fuck is? And I'm like, you cannot tell me you let the Panthers come back and beat you, man. Like,
they did.
But let's get to your last game.
Yeah. So Monday Night Football, another 3-point game, 31 Jacksonville Jaguars, 28 Kansas City Chiefs. Now, before I get into this game, the reason why I wanted to pick all three of these games, is because all underdogs won in this one.
Yep.
So, and these are all teams that, well, all the teams that were beat were the teams coming into the season. Besides the Chiefs, there's always some questions about the Chiefs, obviously, where they're not going to have as great as year, but it's like the Bills have aspirations of winning it all. The Ravens or the Rams have aspirations of possibly winning it all this year still. The Chiefs, I'm not going to count them out because I don't want to be on week 18 and flash back to this moment where I count them out and they're somehow like 11 and whatever. So I'm just going to keep that out of my mouth right now. But but the bigger thing is the Patriots and the Jaguars out of the three winners. I would say that these are teams that we've been waiting for something to happen with them, especially with the Jaguars. They've had Trevor Lawrence the past few years. We've been waiting for them to make that step where we saw the Trevor Lawrence from Clemson and we have all this promise for him. And it seems like this team is finally shaping up to be. They easily should be 5-0 in my opinion. That Bengals game was a fluke. That was just
Jake Browning showed life for like 1 week this year.
And there was a fluke pass interference call. Like it was just they should be 5-0 in my opinion, but they're not. They're 4-1. But they were down 14-0 to Kansas City, which it was looking scary at first in this game. And it felt like, oh shit, Kansas City might have found their mojo. We're about to see them kicking into high gear the rest of the season. But Jacksonville weathered the storm. Trevor Lawrence finally calmed down. He was looking really just jittery the whole game. The whole team on both sides of the ball just looked like they had no direction. But they finally calmed down. I will say that I want to see Travis Hunter get more involved on defense with them and on offense. I know that he had that amazing catch in the third quarter where it was like a 40-yard
literally the most Travis Hunter play you could possibly imagine to happen.
Why aren't we trying to set up for more of that, in my opinion? Like, come on.
I don't know.
Let's go. Come on, buddy.
Travis is – his usage is interesting to me because here's my take on it. My only take I really have through like – 5 games doing his rookie season. I think for him to return value on the number 2 pick and what you traded for him, he has to be a factor on defense at least, and I think he has to be the factor on offense. Like he has to be the guy. And I know Brian Thomas Jr. is supposed to be that guy. I hate to break it to everybody. This year, not looking like he's that guy. We'll see if that changes, but not looking. I know he had the great play down the sideline. Yeah. What a throw and catch. Trevor Lawrence, by the way, let me actually just talk about him for a second. One of the funnier games I've seen in a long time because like he gets completely screwed on that like penalty or that didn't get called. That like admittedly, there's reasons to say that it shouldn't have been called, but also reasons to say it should have been. But it was just a weird play that he gets dinged for in the interception. But like he also kind of throughout the game is just like he kind of looked like he was going to shit his pants every time he dropped back. I'm not going to lie to you. That's just kind of what it looked like. And at the end of the day, like he got it done, and that last play for a touchdown, man. The only reason it's not the funniest touchdown in the NFL this week is because of the stupid ass Titans Cardinals touchdown.
Yeah,
like that's the only reason it wasn't the stupidest touchdown. And to his credit,
I had to watch that one like 5 times
to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, I was like, what is that legal?
I was like, hey, it's a touchdown, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. It beats me. I'm not going to sort this one out. Let them decide it. But him eating shit because his guard stepped on him. And then even saying like he full on panicked and then got up and was like, I haven't been tackled yet. I guess I have to score. And he scores. So funny.
Yeah. Like, and that play, like when he got like he fell down and then he tried to get up and stumbled a little bit again. I was like, oh no, this is about to be bad.
He's about to fumble.
And and you know, like when you're as a kid, you run up, like you need to go upstairs and you have to shut off the light. You shut off and you run real quick. Mm-hmm. I mean, he got up.
It's literally what it looked like. Yeah.
Dude, he had defenders draping off his back. He's like shooting out of there. So I mean, good on him.
Yeah, give him credit. He did make the best of literally the worst possible thing that could have happened, other than like a fumble or something.
54 yards rushing, 2 rush touchdowns, 220 yards passing touchdown. He did have the interception, but I mean, he just balled. He was a gamer. I mean, that was a gamer stat line. I mean, Pat on the other end obviously had a better stat line.
Yeah.
But
also, though, shout out Devin Lloyd.
Dude.
Defensive player of the year so far, in my opinion.
Yeah. 99 yards. As soon as he ran that back, the first thought in my mind was like, man, it sucks. He has to go right back on defense.
Dude, right. Get him an oxygen mask, bro.
Yeah.
No, he's pulled a James Harrison, bro.
Yeah.
Literally the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
No, it's again, the Jaguars so much fun. I do hope that Trevor figures it out more offensively than he has. And he wasn't bad in this game by any means. It's just something about Trevor, man. Like he has all the talent in the world, and sometimes he just looks not good. I don't know. It's something about him, but like I'm hoping that this is maybe a turning point, getting a big win like this. And it looks like it's going to be the Colts and the Jaguars for this division. Who would have told you that going into the season? Other than, I guess, Dalton, maybe.
Yeah.
Keep shouting him out for that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this thing plays out. This team.
Yeah.
But,
and I think the NFL is a great equalizer for Lawrence because some of these plays that he just looks terrible on, he somehow pulled something out in college. So, like, I think he's trying to learn still on how to just make the plays he can and realize that you can't just play bullcrap backyard football all the time in the NFL. So, but he's had plenty of time to figure it out. He's lucky that he's had this long of a rope to do so, in my opinion. But they also didn't have many options to. Yeah. But yeah. And he was still upper echelon of the bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, like he's again, his problem is he just is maybe the least consistent passer I've seen in a long time that plays a lot. Like, I don't know, him and Jordan Love are kind of similar to me, except I just think Jordan's better at this point. But they still have some of the same, like, what the fuck was that?
They have a game and you're like, that,
Or even just like a throw where you're like, what the fuck? What were you doing on that one? But no, on the Chiefs side of things, I'll talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
The offense mostly looked really good.
Yeah.
That Devin Lloyd play really was the game, man. Like, and to be fair, like an unbelievable play by him to jump into that passing lane to anticipate that and be there. Definitely, Patrick is going to be upset about that one, but I think he played very, very well in this game.
Yeah.
I don't. The Chiefs are not going away, man. I don't think they're going away quite yet. Like, the Chargers look like shit because they can't pass protect anymore because both their tackles are gone. The Broncos beat the Eagles, but I still, like, the eye test tells me that Bo Nix ain't the guy, ultimately.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's one of those guys that's, like, guaranteed to be able to take his team to the promised land.
Yeah.
And we know the Raiders suck ass, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I would hesitate to say that the Chiefs aren't going to still win this division ultimately, especially when they get Rashee Rice back here soon and all that stuff. Like, it's going to be a dogfight in that division all the way to the end, I think. So.
Yeah, and on offense with him, like you said, this is probably the best their offense has looked all year, in my opinion.
Maybe the Ravens game, just because the issue, but
Pat obviously, like I said, had great rushing and passing at 318 yards, touchdown, interception, and then 60 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. Tyquan Thornton, 90 yards for them on three receptions.
Yeah, he's still that deep threat with one of these still kind of making his way back. So
he found comfort in Travis Kelce a lot. He had 7 receptions, 61 yards. Xavier Worthy, this one, he banged up his ankle in the game.
Yeah, it was already bothering him before.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I haven't seen anything about him. I know that they put him. There was some sort of injury designation, but I don't think – I think he'll probably just be game time decision next week. But there's something about this Chiefs team still when they – and I hate to say this, but they have the best quarterback on earth, so it's hard to count them out at this point. They could be – let me see on their past games here. I mean – they're not losing by a lot in these games, which is kind of surprising to me, just how bad this defense has played and like how they've looked in the past. A 6-point loss to the Chargers, 3-point loss to the Eagles, and then a 3-point loss last night. If they can turn those games around, like you said, it's hard to count them out at this point.
Yeah, they're a team that has consistently won those one-score games, but that luck eventually runs out.
It
And
does.
they're also just making the mistakes they didn't last year. Like they have
No.
more talent on this offense, but they're making more mistakes. And you assume that will balance out at some point. And if it does, that's when you might see them go on like a 7 or 8 game heater. And to be fair, like they have to play the Lions next week, which yeah, it's a tough one. Sunday Night Football. You get the Raiders, which the Raiders have always been able to mess with the Chiefs once or so every so often. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not this year the way things are going. Got the Commanders who look good. Bills obviously are tough. Like so, there's tough games coming up. Then you get late in the season, you get the Cowboys, Texans, Titans, Raiders again. But like it's going to be an interesting end of the season for this team, I think. For sure.
And you read off those games, and you're like, "Oh, that's going to be rough." But it seems like every year they have a stretch like this, and they just dominate it.
Yeah,
and it's like they win those games. You're like, how the hell do they keep winning these games? So
I think it comes down they have to win at least 3 more division. Like they have to go 3-3 in the division.
Oh, yeah.
Better, I think. And if they can do that, then I think it becomes a conversation. But it's going to be interesting.
But and so that game, Jacksonville, I think they're turning the corner now. 4-1, like
defensively, especially.
Yeah, Cohen. I mean, I hate to say this, but surprisingly looking good as far as having his team prepared for these games. And like I said, Patriots and the Jaguars, why I wanted to talk about these games. A couple teams that we had or at least I had some questions on coming into the season. Are they going to have that year that they're expecting where they're saying, oh, we have aspirations of winning the division or making to the Super Bowl, whatever it may be? They're kind of walking the walk at this point, and it's like I said, I think it's Drake May time in New England. I think I'm not going to say they found their new Tom Brady or anything like that, but the past few years have been rough for them. I'm not going to say that I feel bad for them the past few years,
but certainly don't.
Yeah, I don't feel bad from the past few years, but I think they're going to start seeing some better football for them. So I guess congrats to you guys on that one. In Jacksonville, I think you finally have a competent football team to believe in again.
I think their kind of issue is the opposite problem of let's see if Trevor Lawrence is the right quarterback for this coaching staff and this team. But outside of that, if that ends up being the case, I think you're kind of in business then.
Yeah, so it's nice that it's kind of like we're having some turnover here in the NFL. We're seeing some teams that have been downtrodden the past few years, and some of them longer than that are finally starting to – they went through those crappy years. They made their draft picks. They made their trades. They signed the guys long-term that they needed to, and it's finally coming to fruition for them. So I'm excited to see Week 12 what these teams look like. These are the bigger teams that I'm more excited to look at. And for the Bills and the Chiefs on this one and the Rams, it's kind of like a nut-up moment. You're not obviously the Chiefs have lost a few times already, but you're not invincible at this point. So I think the NFL is going to start to get fun. Everyone has a loss under their belt. We're going to see what happens now.
Absolutely. But other than that, again, that's all the games we're going to talk about. Any other thoughts you want to throw out there, Casey, before we get out of here?
No. Yankees tied it up.
I did see that. So sure. See if the Yankees can survive here. But no, that should do it for us this week. And we'll see you guys, hopefully, assuming everything goes right and there's someone available. See you guys this time next week.
Yep. See you tomorrow night.
Yes.